You need to be uniquely different. You need to be authentic. You need to stand out. You need to do something that's going to get my attention and make me want to keep watching your reel to see what you're going to do next.
Welcome to the Next Level Journalist, where you will hear from some of the best journalists in the business or who have been there, done that, and willing to share with you what they've learned so you can get better, faster. My guest today is the news director at WTXL in Tallahassee, Florida, Vicki Bradley. Thank you so much for making time for this today.
Thank you so much for asking me to be part of it.
Well, look, I always look forward to talking to news directors, and someone obviously, of course, referred me to you. You and I have never met before until today, but Harrison Hove, who is highly respected in that journalism area, and as not only working in the industry, but as an educator. And what he said to me, I asked him for a couple of referrals. So he gave me 3, and you are among the 3 that he suggested. I'm going to share a quick quote. He said that Vicki has fostered a great station community and has really helped build and grow her staff. So I'm thinking, I've worked for 4 TV stations. News directors like that are far and few in between. So to have you on here it's an honor. So thank you.
Thank you. Harrison is so kind. I've had the opportunity to work with him on several different occasions. So I'm glad that he saw that in me. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's huge, because I think the people who see this, I always say this is for aspiring journalists, when at the end of the day, I think we should all be students of life and aspiring to get better, whether you're just starting or you're in it for 20 years. So the fact that he said that about you, I was like, okay, this news director gets it. So I'm excited to talk to you. So, Vicki, if you can, tell us a little bit about your TV career journey. When you broke through, and what you were aspiring for, and just bring us up to speed.
So I just wrote a post on LinkedIn that was talking about my TV journey as an intern. So I came up as a production intern at a Fox affiliate in North Carolina in High Point, WGHP. And with that internship, I was asked to work overnight running teleprompter like New Year's Eve. So into New Year's Day, actually, New Year's Day. And I did it. And the production manager there later asked somebody, who was I? Because I didn't report to him. I reported to the news manager. And my career started there. He offered me a part-time production job. So I worked in production while I finished my senior year of college. Came up the producer track, have worked in multiple stations in North Carolina. Even worked at the Weather Channel for a short stint as a producer. And I just found my way to the manager track as an EP, assistant news director, and now a news director twice, this latest time in Tallahassee.
That's awesome. I love hearing those stories of people who talk about, doing it on the weekends, doing it on the holidays, doing it overnight, doing it when no one's looking. Like, that's an easy way, a simple way, maybe not an easy way. That's not very attractive to have to sacrifice, your social life and stuff like that. But I love, the common thread with so many people is the sacrifice. So,
yes.
Kind of talk about maybe what it was like for you as you climbed that ladder of success, for lack of better words. What it was that you had to do in order to continue to scale.
So I think you hit the nail on the head when you said sacrifices. My senior year in college, I sacrificed my weekends. The times that I would normally go out and be with friends, I was working because I knew the value of already having my foot in the door at a television station long before I graduated. So I think that's really, really important, is making that sacrifice. Other sacrifices, I came up as a news producer in Market 131. And what I would do is, I was an hourly employee, but it was very clear that I was only to work my 8 hours as far as overtime was concerned. I put in the hours before and after my shift because I knew how important it was for me to grow my career. So I think most people don't even realize that. We're like, if I'm not getting paid, at some point, I'm not saying just work for free, but at some point you have to put that extra time in. So yeah. Coming up as a producer, I would go to work early. I stay at work late, and that is something that I still do now as a news director, but different circumstances. But it really helped me then. What I did then has helped me now understand the value of work and sacrifice, and I definitely think that was significant in helping me get my career where it is now.
That's awesome. So, Vicki, I know this next question could suit almost anybody that works for you, works with you, but as a news director, when you are looking for someone, a qualified candidate to join your team, And again, reporters, anchors, meteorologists, photographers, editors. I know this can be a wide variety of answers, but what is it you look for in people who apply to work with you all?
I look for people with passion and people who are like, this is what I want to do. This is what I've always wanted to do. People who they have it in their bones and they know that it's a tough job, but they're willing to push through, which is really important. I tell people as they come to me and they look for jobs, the first 6 months is going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. There are just going to be challenges that you didn't expect. It's no longer college or it's no longer your internship. So I think people that have that passion are going to be driven and are going to stick with it. And I also think that the passion is really important because what we do is really a service to people. We are here to educate people. We are here to help people. And you have to be really passionate to put the work in, I think, to making that happen.
Let's say I'm a reporter, if I can get specific, since I think that's kind of like there's more news reporters and sports reporters typically in a newsroom than anchors. So if I'm a news reporter and I'm going to submit a reel to you, what's something that you look for in a reel?
Creativity. There are so many people who want to be on air. Be creative. How do you stand out? I always say, don't be the person standing outside in front of the vacant home. That's not good TV. Be the person that catches my attention. I always say that it takes a news director 10 to 45 seconds to figure out whether or not they like you. So you need to be uniquely different. You need to be authentic. You need to stand out. You need to do something that's going to get my attention and make me want to keep watching your reel to see what you're going to do next. Super, super important. Those first couple of seconds are key in your reel.
Yeah, so it's almost like that answer would fit almost anything. If it was someone in sports or meteorologist, are you still looking for that creativity element or anything different from those individuals, or a photog maybe?
Sports, I say I don't want scores and highlights. Be creative. What is the story within the story? I grew up in North Carolina. I had the pleasure of working in North Carolina for a long time. Carolina Panthers, go Panthers, I guess. Cam Newton was like a huge deal, and he would always do something extra. So whether it was Cam giving the football to the kids, or whether it was Cam giving the football to the kids, or whether it was Cam just doing something controversial, we were always able to tell that story. Like, you know that the Panthers won. You had the push alert. You saw it everywhere. You don't need us to tell you that. What is the story within the story? So that is something that I want to see from sports people. Weather. Show me that you can do more than forecasts. Show me that you have a passion for something else. I like my meteorologist to be able to cover news as well. And when I say news, I don't mean like political stuff. I mean, what is the space story, right? Or what is the bigger weather story? Extreme heat is happening in the West. Okay, meteorologist, help me tell that story. How can you be different and more than someone that just stands in front of a weather wall?
That's great. Yeah, I hear story throughout there, right? That actually connect with someone deeper than just the facts. So
storytellers, I was going to say, sorry.
No.
It is really important to be a storyteller no matter what your position is in a television station. Photographers, same thing, storytellers. What story are you telling through your sound? What stories are you telling through your video? Storytelling is key in everything we do.
What is something that you tell people, like say, hey, we're high on storytellers. We want people that can craft the story well. What is it that you tell them, or maybe help them with in becoming a better storyteller?
So look for the story. Be curious. There are so many stories that are out there. You have to find them. So be curious. One, enterprise is a word that we use within scripts. So enterprise is that uniquely different story. That story you're not going to necessarily see at the competition. How are you finding those stories? Are you going out into the community? Are you connected on social media? Do you just have a great Rolodex of resources? So to me, that's super important, is your connections, and your curiosity will definitely set you on the right path for sure.
Yeah, I love that word, curiosity, and that's you can't be afraid to be curious, and you
Yeah.
never know what it's going to lead to. I love that. That's a great tip. How about some challenges that you've faced in either in the position you are today or a position you were in 5 years ago? Whatever comes to mind. Obviously, COVID-19 comes to mind for a lot of people when I ask them about challenges. But is there anything that stands out to you over your career that happened and you're like, I remember that season, or I remember that circumstance, and this is how I learned from it? This is how I got better from it. Anything come to mind?
I can remember being underestimated as someone trying to be a producer. Right now, producers, if you want to be a producer, the jobs are there. But I remember being underestimated and having people that didn't take me seriously. I was working in a top 50 market, and I was told, like, you have to go to a smaller market. And someone else would have probably seen that as defeat. I saw it as a challenge. I went to a smaller market, and within a year and a half, I was able to come back to that larger market and get a producer job. So for me, that was a big deal. I think there were some other kind of background challenges and factors in that decision not to promote me at the time as well. But the big thing for me was, okay, you're telling me I need to go somewhere and get that experience. I'm going to do it. So that's really important. COVID is always a challenge, right? And I say always as in, we thought we were getting a bit of a break, and here we are again with the Delta variant. So that is a challenge for me. It's a challenge just making sure everyone is okay. Like, the stories are there. We know what the cases are. We know the vaccine situation. But as a newsroom leader, my challenge is making sure my team is good. So that's really important when sometimes I'm like, am I good? So that's a challenge too, but it's one that I feel like I've been able to kind of overcome in some capacity. Still some challenges day to day because it's news and things change and things happen. But I think that's a big thing for me, is just making sure everyone's okay.
Yeah, yeah, in such a evolving season or evolving industry that I say we, I still refer to me being in the business, but in news, just how quickly things went from in person to virtual and what's acceptable, right? I mean, these things, these face to face or these virtual calls are becoming more the norm. I mean, how much has the newsroom changed, and how has it impacted your newsroom? Like how you all go about telling stories, especially telling stories that maybe in this format or anything different, or just how it's changed.
So normally when you think about that heart-to-heart story, the one where you're really trying to get that emotion, or it is emotional, you think of that reporter sitting down with that person, they're having that conversation. Now we're like a Zoom screen, which sometimes it can be a little tough to get that emotion, or to really, I feel like, give people the big picture of what that person is feeling or how they've been impacted. But we've been able to do a good job with it. Today I actually started talking to my team, and I said, hey, I don't want to go back to all Zoom interviews, but with the Delta variant, I'm okay if we do a little bit more than we have been. So that's been something that's been helpful, being able to use Zoom, especially for their safety. We also, we no longer just mic people up like people who are familiar with the lav, like the wireless mic. We are mic stands. So we set up a mic stand and we have them come, the person we're interviewing, and walk up to the mic stand. Not the best looking, right, TV. I like the clean wireless mic, but again, safety things. We don't have a building full of people. My reporters are all working remotely, so they do not come in the building. And if they do, it is to maybe switch out cars or switch out gear. So those are the things that we're still dealing with right now. At one point, my anchors were at home anchoring. My producers were at home producing. The only thing that really didn't go remote was my directors. But yeah, it has certainly been a change, a lot. But I think it's definitely made us tougher as a team for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure plenty of lessons learned in that season.
Oh yeah.
This season, I guess, right? Like you said, it's back. So,
Yeah.
Vicki, if you could, how about some advice that you've received throughout your career? Anything that stands out when you first started, or if it's advice that you just got recently? Anything that come to mind?
The advice that comes to mind is people first. And I say that from a manager perspective, is put your people first. But I even say it now from put your coworkers first. The relationships that you are making with people now are going to be so important later. I have great relationships with people that I met when I was coming up as a producer now that I didn't even realize were going to be where they are. I have relationships with people who I used to manage now because I always thought about the people come first. The news is really important. It's our job, it's what we need to do, but the relationships you have with your team, the relationship you have with your coworkers is really important. So making sure those are good relationships to me is key in anyone's success.
Yep, and I guess that goes back to supporting what Harrison said about you. So, cultivating and fostering an awesome community and an awesome newsroom. So it sounds like that's something that clearly hit the nail on the head there. So, how about, if you could go back and do something different to start out, something that you wish you could tell your younger self that obviously, if a younger person watches this, thinks, oh, that's pretty good. Maybe I'll apply that to my pursuit. So anything that you would tell your younger self about this industry, about, navigating that TV career journey?
You have to create your own path. You are your own advocate. Like, you have to be your own everything, right? TV is very competitive, especially when you look at the reporter on air roles. You have to cheer yourself on. You also, though, need to surround yourself by a community that believes in you and that will help lift you up. There are days, I know for my reporters, that are very tough, whether it be the story, whether it be not getting the interviews they needed. You need to be surrounded by people that you can call and vent. People who will say, you know what, I watched that story, it was great. Or people will say, you know what, let's get them next time. I think that's really important. At first I didn't understand that, but as I got older and as I became a manager, I understood the importance of just having that village around you.
Yeah, that community, surrounding yourself with the right people is so important.
Yes, so important.
Yeah, and I get that firsthand. I tell people I lost my first job. I was let go, but I basically wasn't up to the expectations that they had, and that's it. I came back down to earth real quick. I think that I had figured things out so early on, and so that was definitely a great learning lesson there. And fortunately, I had the right people around me and said, hey, you know what, just dust yourself off. And I picked up something within 2 months, so it worked out. I like to say that was God's plan all along, even though how I fell into that position in the first place, I don't know, but either way, I'm here to talk about it. So there's there's brighter days ahead, so keep pressing on. So Vicki, I want to respect your time, and I want to leave this last one up to you. Is there anything in particular that you would like to share that's on your mind or on your heart that you thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about this when I go on there, but I didn't ask you, so is there anything that you want to add that I haven't asked you already?
So I'm talking to people who are new in the industry, or people who are looking for those first jobs. A couple of things come to mind for me that I get asked when I speak to classes. A lot of people, from a diversity standpoint, from an African American standpoint, there are people who certainly say, my hair, my look. Am I going to have to change certain things? I think that the industry is a little bit more accepting now than it was previously. So I would encourage people that if you are applying for a job somewhere and all they can think about is your hair, or all they can think about is certain things about you that have nothing to do with your ability to be an on-air person or your ability to be a producer, whatever the case is, that is not the job for you. That is not the place you need to be. That is your red flag. We always say to people, like my GM and I have great conversations about our candidates after they interview with us. And something that just came up for something else I did is be curious. Again, when you're interviewing, ask questions. Do your research. Even if you don't really have a question, ask questions. People love to see that curiosity. And the other thing for me is just making sure that internships, get them. My internship certainly set me on path to go in the right direction. I believe in the value of them. I believe as a news director, when I see this person has some newsroom experience of knowledge, it makes them jump out. So those are like 3 things that I think will definitely be beneficial for anyone that's, looking for that second job or looking for that first job.
Yeah, that was great stuff. I appreciate you sharing everything that you did, especially your time. Because I know this is in the middle of your day when we're doing this, so I definitely want to respect that. And again, just say thank you so much for everything you shared today, Vicki.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And thank you for checking out this channel. If you found this content beneficial, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share it with someone you think might find it beneficial as well, because this channel was simply started and created to serve you, to help others grow, to learn how other successful TV journalists do or did it. So take what serves you so you can get better faster and reach your next level.